What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the CODEX station. This is the CODEX Slab Show, where we talk about slabs, everything about slabs, and all you things you need to know about slabs. I'm your host, Al, the Slab Guy, as you can see. Down below me is Tim. Next to him is Wes. Oh, right over there, Wes Rebel Scum. But today we got a very special guest star right there, Tony Trombetta. He is the president of EGS Grading Services. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing well, Sal.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, guys.
It's an incredible pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's just dive right into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started with your comics and how you got started doing grading. That's all I like to know.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I go back to my childhood with comics in general. Mm-hmm. My first ever job was at a comic book store when I was 12. And I worked there for, like 5-6 years. So that was my introduction into, comics in general. And then, just over the years, I kept, reading and collecting, and then, left and came back like a lot of people, seem to do.
Right.
And then, I kind of was, kind of starting to get back into it when all of this, slabbing and grading started. Mm-hmm. And so, I was trying to keep my, how should I say, my mind open to it. Right. Because when this first started, I was like, gee, I don't know if this is a good thing, if it's a bad thing, like a lot of other people, when this all started, a lot of people, didn't think it would last or would be, a good thing. But, I was one of them. I was a skeptic, and so just kind of from afar, just, kind of kept my finger on the pulse. With things and, of course, life in general. Right. So,
right.
And then I probably say around, I don't know, 2014,
okay,
2013, 2014, I started to kind of really, get back into, the collecting end of it. I was more, say, collecting than reading. I was more into the collecting. So that really started my whole introduction to, grading companies, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I had did some submissions to, CGC and, CBCS and
right. Yeah.
PGX, and was trying the different companies, and I gotta say what really made me want to do this was just really noticing what was going on, and even like back then, there were things that I was like really questioning, and then as a couple more years went by, I was to the point to where I was like, look, there's a better way to do this. It was just getting to the point where, I was like, there needs to be somebody else that can come in and, do things a little bit different, so I knew when I decided to maybe think about doing this, I had to re-educate myself for one, because grading has changed. Yeah. Look, when I was back in the comic shop, my boss, graded books. He showed me how, to grade books and everything. And, after a while I was, doing a lot of the grading, and this is as a kid, but, a lot of that changed, with
Right.
time, right? So I had to kind of re-educate myself on, okay, what's the same, what's changed, what's this 10-point scale? Because back in the day when I was at a comic shop, there wasn't numerical grades. It was just, good, very good, fine.
Back in the day.
Very fine. That was so basically what I did is I bought an Overstreet guide to grading comics, and I took a course. There was a schooling and online course back then on how to grade by
was it the
standard.
Overstreet?
So
is that what you said? Overstreet price guide grading? Yeah.
Overstreet guide to grading comics. Yep. So I took I took the course. I had to pass, their online tests and all of that. So once I kind of got myself educated on, okay, I know this standard. Overstreet's been around
forever,
for a
long time,
since the beginning.
And they're the ones that really kind of got this whole grading thing started with comic grading, and grading companies. So after I did that, I said to myself, well, do I think there's going to be room, for another company to come in? Because I mean, at that time, I opened my doors in 2018. So this is probably back in early, maybe 2017-ish, when I really was like, okay, am I seriously thinking about doing this? I kind of reached, I was on YouTube a lot, and got to, see a lot of guys, on YouTube doing their comic stuff and whatever. And, I reached out to, a bunch of them and kind of got their pulse on, what do you think? I mean, do you think there's room for another company? Do you think competition would, be a good thing? Because look, I want to offer something different. I want to offer, something that is for the, not only for the collector, but I mean, it could be for the, for the people who's, buying and selling too, even though I have no, control over that. But I just felt that, there needed to be, a company that actually is out there for the customer, doing what the customer wants, right? Because one of the big disconnects I felt with the grading companies is they really didn't, to me, they weren't really connected with their customers. It was, look, this is what we do. You like it, fine. You don't,
and
whatever,
for sure,
right? I mean, this is the way we do it, and even and if that's it. They they didn't really offer a lot of stuff, and I was like, I think there needs to be a company out there that's going to cater to the collector and the community, and give that transparency, and give people options, because I felt the grading companies, you don't really have you don't really have a lot of options. I mean, the customer service was don't even get me started on that. And I'm like, there's a better way to do this, and I just needed to kind of get some feelers out there. And once I got the response and everything from a bunch of different people in the community and YouTubers, I said, well, let's do it. And it's been
6 years,
2018.
Yeah.
So this is our 6th year, and we're still
awesome.
going. It's been a very slow progression, but we're here, and granted, we're up against some monsters in the industry, but that's not really, I've always said, I'm not concerned about other companies. Like, people always ask me, do you want to be bigger than CGC? Do you want to be bigger than CBCS? Do you want to be this? And my answer is, if I am, fine. If I'm not, I'm not, but I'm going to do
Yeah,
my thing. You know, EGS is going to do its thing to what they feel is right. And however big we get, that's going to be up to, you know,
Well, I
our
mean,
customers,
you've
you
got a
know?
seat at the table, and that is a lot more than other people have been able to do. And in that regard, I can do nothing but give you praise and admiration for that. You did what a
absolutely.
lot of people dream about doing or don't have the ability to do, and you created a grading service, and now you are one of 4 that are available to people. So I guess my first real question
Yeah.
would be, and I know that this will lead into what Wes wants to ask you, but prior to 2018, before you started EGS, what processes did you see, like through CGC or CBCS, or your experiences with them, or PGX? What processes did you see that gave you the ideas to create EGS?
I mean, if you're asking what I
Yeah,
thought could
exactly
be
that.
better,
Like through
or
your
yeah,
experience with
yeah,
those 3
yeah.
companies.
Through my, yeah, I have to say, well, one was
Okay.
bad customer service. That was one. 2, again, I felt that the companies were very limited when it came to its customers. Like, again, you know, they didn't give people many options. It's just like, look, this is what we do. You get a blue label, you get a yellow label. You know, this label means this label means that. You know,
Yeah.
and that's really it. You
No
know,
other
there's
option.
nothing. There's no options. You know, it's like I've always thought, like, well, you know, maybe, you know, you guys are at all these conventions. You know, do you ever ask people, hey, what do you guys want? You know, what can we do that, you know, might, you know, give you
Mhm.
guys something to look forward to, or maybe something you feel we need to do that will do something right for you. And they, you know, to me, they never have reached out. They were, you know, nobody was reaching out to, you know, the
Mhm.
community or the collectors, you know, really asking them, to me, like, what, you know, what are you guys looking for, right? So, you know, that was
So
big,
so was it
you
like
know, for
label
me, because
creation that was part of the catalyst that got all of this moving?
I mean that, yeah, I mean that, and just being able to say, like, look, you know, I thought the biggest thing was all of this. Well, a blue
Mhm.
label means this, a yellow label means that. And, you know, I felt that, look, you know, a color of a label shouldn't define what
Mhm.
the service is. I mean, it's written on the
Mhm.
label
Yeah,
what the
absolutely
service
Yeah.
true.
is, right? So why does a black cover book have to have a blue
Okay.
Yeah.
label? I mean, you know, a black label, a black and white label on a black cover book, to me, looks
So
a
you're a
hell of a
you're
lot
a
better
style guy.
than,
There's
Yeah,
style
yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there's
right,
but
right,
there's nothing
yeah.
wrong with
I
that
mean,
No,
because
no, there's not.
but
yeah,
the thing is, you're right, right. The thing is, there was no choice for people to even
Mhm.
consider, you know. And I thought, you know, that was one of the big things. You know, look, we can get into, you know, who grades what and how they grade. And, you know, I always felt that, you know, they don't really tell you what their standards are when they're
Mhm.
grading. you know that's why I said, look, you know, one of the big things for me was I let people know from day one, look, this is how I grade. I go by the Overstreet Guide to Grading Comics 100%. This is it. You can
yeah,
go buy one
Yeah.
yourself, you know, and study it, and, you know, come to your own conclusions. But at
this
least
is
I'm telling you, this is what we go by. Now, you know, not everybody's going to agree with every
Mhm.
but
grade that I give
that's just
them,
nature of the
right?
beast
I
though.
mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But at least I'm telling you, hey, you know, this is what I'm using to determine
Mhm.
your grade. You know, it's not hidden
Right.
behind a
Yeah.
curtain somewhere, you know. Uh, So, look, I just felt like, there needed to be more consistency, more transparency, more options. I mean, because let's just face it, guys, right? I mean, without you, there
Right.
is no us. There are no grading companies
True.
without you, right? And I just felt that was sorely missing with these other companies. I really do. I just felt like they just wanted to print money. They were just money machines.
Like a lack of personalization.
Yep.
Yeah. Right on.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
All right, Wes, you have a question?
Yeah,
sorry.
well,
Go
so
ahead.
my question has been answered about 3 times now. My first question, but I'll dive a little deeper on that, and So my first question was basically, why, a lot of companies come into existence or create a product to fill a need. You've obviously clearly answered that. The need was variety, customer service, things like that you thought was missing in the grading world ether. So I'll add to that. So when coming up with the type of company and product you're going to deliver, what type of collector, if any, are you targeting? Right. So you said, it's cool if the regular everyday collector buys or the reseller. Do you see yourself more of a grading company for the baseline collector, or are you the guy that, or are you the company that's going to be like, hey, we can be, if not better than CGC or better, and I know you're not wanting to be CGC, but you know what I'm saying, right? So are you catering to a certain style or type of collector, or is it basically like, hey, everybody come, see what I've got and try it on for yourself?
Right. Yeah. I can't really say, like, when you say, are we for a certain type?
To reiterate, it's okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I mean, I think we're more of, because everybody's not the same, right? I don't say, hey, we're targeting anybody.
Right.
We feel like we're offering this service, and if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. I mean, there's other companies that you can go to, right? So, I would say, we're not really, I think when you say it's obvious, guys, too, I mean, people always say, well, obviously you're not for the resellers. And, my answer to that is, yes, we are, but, we can't control what people are selling our books for and what they're paying for other companies. But I mean, I have no control over that. But to say we're not for them, it's false.
You're not just
everybody.
a company for display cases. You're a company for gradability, resellability, and sustainability as far as keeping the comics preserved.
However, I will say this, that your slabs are perfect for display. I mean, from what I've seen, and I've only seen one or two, like, physically in their presence, and then I've seen what Sal's got. I'm like, man, those are pretty. And it's almost like, man, that if you're a display guy, and you aren't quite sure what company to go with. I mean, and all you care about is, you know what I'm saying? So right.
What's important to you, right? That's the thing. What's important to you, right? I mean, is it, and that's why, if you notice, guys, you don't have to get a colored label. I mean, if you were one of the guys to where, I'm not really into that, I kind of want the standard.
I don't know.
Blue
Sal's reds
yellow.
look pretty badass.
Yeah, that's red. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's just the variety and the options. So we don't want to be, that's just a company for the colored labels and and all of that, right? The custom label, that's that's okay, that's EGS.
So
if you want that, well, okay, but well, how about our grading consistency and and all these other important things that grading companies do that maybe I mean, a lot of people don't. I don't know if they don't care until it happens to them, and they I mean, or they're just like, well, it is what it is, but what's all that's important to us is the resale value of the book. And I can't, if that's the kind of person you are and that's your whole thing, then God bless you. I mean, but we're more in the business of saying, look, we do the same thing that these other companies do as far as what we do with your book, as far as grading it, right? I mean, we go by the book, 100% by the book. It's unfair to me to try to say, well, who's better and who's not, and who's stricter, who's looser, who's this, when one company has 45 people grading books. Okay. The other company, the other companies, we have no, you have no idea what they're using, what processes, what are, what are their standards, so it's impossible to me to say, well, EGS gave it a 8.0, I don't know, CGC gave it a 9.0, so EGS doesn't know what they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're only saying that because you got the better grade with CGC. Okay, fine. If that's what they gave it, that's what they gave it. But why don't you ask them how they came to that number?
That's what I'd like to do next. What is your grading process? I know you said that the baseline is the Overstreet price guide, as it should be, in my opinion, because they've been around for a long time. Their baseline grading process is incredibly stringent, but it's very down the line on and very clear on what it is between a good, a very good, a fine plus, a near mint, a mint, etc. So what I'd like to ask is, what is the grading process? Like, you don't have to give away any trade secrets or anything like that. That's not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is, like, what's the process? What does it do? Do they all go through you? Do you have other certified graders? Is it just one person looking at the book, or do you have multiple to get a consensus of a grade?
Good question.
Yeah. So it is just, I'm the only one that grades.
Wow.
I'm the only one that makes the labels, and I am the only one that inputs the grades and the graders' notes. Nobody else has access to that. Yeah. So, I do have other people in other areas, but I'm not to the point yet to where I'm like, well, I just can't do this anymore. I need to take somebody on and train them. Now, if it ever comes to that, if I ever have to hire somebody else or 2 or 3 more graders or whatever, but they're gonna get trained.
They're going to meet not only that quality,
right?
but your quality.
They're going to know this book, because this is how you grade. Okay.
Right.
Everything is in here. Okay. Now, there's also something in here that I will show you that this is very secretive with the grading companies. But if you buy an Overstreet Guide to Grading Comics, okay, you can see this for yourself. And this is exactly what I go by. And I'm not hiding it behind any curtain. Okay. You buy a Overstreet Guide.
Let me bring you front and center, if you don't mind, so people can see that clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Sal.
So there you go. Here's the chart. And if you look on the chart, all the different grades are on the bottom. Okay. And all the number of defects are on the side. And it shows you, okay, there's that many allowable defects in that grade. that's how we deduce.
Okay,
our
right on.
grades.
That's very
pretty
fair.
straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know,
very
I mean,
straightforward.
so, I mean, look, it's very straightforward. Now, you ask any of the other companies, well, it's a 7.0. Well, how
With
did
no
you get to that
grader's notes.
7.0?
Yeah,
Right. So, I mean, we try to be as open and as transparent and as
Right.
fair as possible. So that's why, I mean, I just stick to that book, and that's it. That's how we certify, and that's how
Thank
we
you
grade.
for
So,
answering that, because a lot of other
Yeah.
people wouldn't have even entertained the thought of answering that question, and I appreciate just how honest you're being right now, and that goes a million
Sure.
miles. Let me just
It
put
does.
that out there.
It seriously
Yep.
does.
Well, I'll say this: if anybody from the other grading companies is watching this show, they're probably pissed
Well, they
off right
can
now,
be.
so.
That's up to
Well, be
them.
pissed off. That's all right.
So,
So,
oh,
go
yeah,
ahead,
sorry,
Wes.
Sal. No, Sal, it was your turn. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So I just want to interject a little bit more about your reaching out to the community, seeing what they want, offering them different options. And what drew me in immediately was the labels, the changing of the labels. The blues are nice, the yellows are nice, but it's like it is repetitive. And when I saw that I could actually change that coloring scheme to a lot of different options, I felt like it was a whole new world, to tell you the truth. I really did. It was like, going to shopping for sneakers, and all of a sudden you got 100 different more options to look at. And it was like, okay, I can get the blue ones or the yellow ones, or I could go over here and have a whole new set to look at, and make up my own mind if I want to do that or not. And like you said, you could go with the standard blue or the standard yellow to make it all uniform. I don't want to do that. I like to mix it up. But I also liked the direct like the direct themes you might have, like the Joker theme. You had a Batman theme. You had a Hardy Finn theme, and I think a Vampirella theme as well. I remember off the top of my head.
Harley Quinn?
No, Hardy Finn.
Oh,
it's an offshoot of Harley Quinn. It's not the standard streamlined DC or Marvel. It's very off base on that. But it's called Harley Finn. Okay,
that's new to me.
Okay, I'll show you more books on that later, Tim.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not for me. It's not for me, but some people do like that. But anyhow, what I was trying to get at is you have these targeted theme labels, which are great. Now, do you plan to, let's say, expand that to say like encompass more heroes like Spider-Man or Fantastic Four or Avengers or the JLA or JSA for that matter? Do you plan to expand that even more to those?
Well, I mean, I do have those already. I do have those already. As far as like, those are more of the customization labels. Okay. But I have to be careful. Okay. Because, anything that I take from to put on a label, I have to make sure it's not coming from Marvel. It's not coming from DC. It's not coming from any comic cover. I'm not taking it from a comic cover or anything like that. It's basically, if I usually, what I do is I'll see an artist draw a character or something of Spider-Man or Batman or something like that. I mean, I'll take that and use it, because it's not because look, I don't have any license, I'm not licensed out with anybody, so I can't directly take from them, but I can take from free art. And that's really what I do. I take from free art and I try to make, the labels look like, there's some Spider-Man labels that don't have anything on it, but it just looks like a web, it's like a black and white web going across the label, or, something like that.
That could be anybody's web.
Or if I do a Spidey head. Yeah. I mean, as long as it's not, it's slightly a little different,
understandable though.
Then it's okay. Or, and that's for the customization, and then I just have the different color coordinated labels as well, but like I say, Sal, look, one of the big things that I'll say, and I'll say it till my last day, is that I can tell you, and you guys know this, okay? If I put one of my books with one of my labels and put it up against CGC's regular label, even their custom label that they do, okay, or PGX or CG, if you put mine next to theirs and my book was worth the same as that other book, I can guarantee you people would rather have my book than the other book.
I can see that.
Yeah. Because it feels more unique. It feels more
If
unique.
they had a choice, if they had a choice, you know, if they had a choice and you took the money out of it, they're both worth exactly the same. You tell me whose book that they would choose. I can guarantee you that they would choose one of mine
I like
that they would want.
Speaking,
I do. I just think just for the appeal, that, you know, just the way it looks. Now, maybe not everybody, but I would probably say the more majority of
remove the money from the
look,
equation. Go it.
If you remove the money from the equation, absolutely. You know, but hey, look, everybody's got their own thing. There's some people that hate graded books. They're
that
just
debate
raw
rages to today.
You know? We hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and like I said, you got people that are not into these colored labels or custom labels. They just like their regular blue and yellow. So,
like, you know, the same people that like just vanilla ice cream.
That's right.
Speaking of value, and this is kind of a softball question, but I've never had a president and CEO of a grading company that I'm speaking to, so I have to ask this: in the 5 or 6 years that you've been doing this, what is the coolest book that's come across your desk / most expensive book that's come across your desk? And if it's the same book, that's fine. Yeah.
Maybe that Hulk 181 behind you.
Hello.
No, I would probably say the most expensive would be an AF-15.
What did it grade out as? Do you remember?
1.5.
I'll take that all day long.
Oh yeah,
better than my 0.0.
Now, if you want to ask what my
favorite / coolest book,
book was,
in your opinion,
is that what?
Yeah,
coolest book. Wow.
Cool. I take it nobody's ever asked you that before.
Wow. No.
We here at the Codex Station ask the important questions. Okay?
The important ones. We're collectors, all 4 of us here, and we want to know what the coolest book you've ever had come across your desk is. This is the most important question of the whole interview.
Tell you what, if you want to come back to it and answer at the end, you can do that. Take some time, because that would be hard. I know that would be hard for me to answer. I know it would be very hard.
Pretty cool.
I stumped him, Tim.
You did.
It happens.
His camera's not frozen. He's working it.
Yeah,
it's hard.
That's a hard question.
Because I can't even tell you what I think the coolest.
You know, I get so many great covers and stuff. You know, I mean, from different variant covers and.
So let me ask you this while you're thinking about that. How do you feel about the variant explosion in the past couple of years? Doesn't matter to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter to me. You know, again, it's what people.
Yeah.
If that's your thing, you know, then more power to. I mean, me personally, I don't mind them whatsoever. I mean, as you know, a collector or whatever, you know, I mean, there's some really great,
I agree.
You know, variant covers. But I mean, like, if you want to get into the conversation, is it bad for the hobby? Is it? I don't get into all of that. I mean, I mean, collect what
that's
you
what
want.
we say. We say that all the time on our show. Collect what you want.
Yep.
Yeah, really. I mean, collect what you want.
Well, here's.
You know what? let me say this
All right.
Oh, good.
about the coolest book. I'm going to say what the coolest book was. And I think the coolest book was the first ever 10.0 I gave
okay.
out. How's that? That was the coolest. When I was able to give my
Wow.
first
What was that
10,
book?
that was a Lady
Oh.
Death.
I was
Right
gonna
on.
I was
That's
gonna
awesome.
guess
It
a
was
lady.
actually a
Those
Lady
books,
Death.
I swear.
Yeah, that was. I remember. I don't remember exactly which
Tim, we got to get our
which
Lady
one
Death
it
books
was,
together and send them in.
but
I
I just
agree.
remember it was a Lady Death book, and I gave it a 10, and I thought that wow, that
Yeah.
was how cool is that to get my first
That's a
perfect.
great
10,
answer.
You know what
Great
I mean?
answer.
Wes
So-
and I are big Lady Death collectors. We both have multiple copies of a lot of different covers and stuff. Wes has got the good signatures. I've only got one. But
Hey, and now that I know you've given out a 10.0, I'm sending my
Yep.
stuff to you.
well,
Well, I mean, they. I tell you what, they're very. Brian, he
Yeah.
puts out some
oh
quality.
yeah,
Quality stuff. I mean, his paper and the stock and stuff
Mhm.
that he uses. I mean, you probably. I mean, I think if you're looking for a 10, I mean, I think your odds and your chances of getting a 10 with a Lady Death book are probably the best out of
Yeah.
Well,
anybody else that's doing it.
that brings
to tell you
me
the truth.
into this next question then, signature authentication. So ladies and gentlemen, if you go
Mhm.
on to the egscomicsgrading.com website, there is a section there under services where it talks about signature authentication. And the thing here that I really want to dive into with you is you say that you are able to authenticate signed books using your own proprietary authentication methods. And you also guarantee the authenticity of any signature on books you grade. The next one is what I'm really curious about: certificates of authenticity. You say that you'll honor the COAs and authenticate the validity of the signature within your expert certified service parameters. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is a disclaimer down at the bottom that talks about if the signatures can't be authenticated, and that EGS, like every other grading company, reserves the right to reject or decline verification of signatures if they're not able to authenticate within a reasonable degree of certainty. So my question is what's the process that you go through to authenticate signatures? And then with COAs, certificates of authenticity, how do you determine that, number one, the certificate is authentic, and then go about doing the signature beyond that?
Yes. So
Yeah.
let me clarify. Okay. And I do get this
Okay.
question a lot, because a lot of people I've heard say, "Oh, just send in your COA."
See, because we were
EGS
talking about that
authenticate.
before you came in. Like, we were really curious, not in a negative way or anything like that, but genuinely curious what you did to authenticate the COAs.
Yep. So we do not. Basically, when we say we accept the COA,
Okay.
that means if you want to, we will return it to you, but we do not authenticate by the COA. We
Gotcha.
authenticate by our authentication process. The COA has nothing to do with how we authenticate. But if you want to send it in, be our guest. We'll send it back, but you don't have to. It's an option.
Okay,
So
that makes a lot of sense. So any extra things that are sent in with the books, like the COA, or like with the Wizard 1/2s, they send those little
yes,
check size things. Those, instead of you doing like what CBCS or CGC does and chuck them in the trash, you return them to the
Yes.
customer. I
Yes.
see. Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense.
And also now the only thing that we will validate with COAs, kind of like COAs or whatever, are if you have a book that an artist signed and it was a lot, like there was 300 he signed, or 500 he signed, or 1,000 that he just sat there and signed, and you have number 72 of 350.
Right.
Well, we'll put that it's number 72 of 350 if there's the slip that says, hey, so and so signed it. It was 500 and it's number 72 of 5.
Okay.
And that's usually found on the COA.
So that's what we'll use on, for instance, for numbering of books that are in a lot of books, right? And if you don't have that, then what we'll do is we'll put on the label,
He signed like 350.
number 39 of 350 written on cover.
I'm gonna send a
yeah,
signature your way, Tony. That'll give you a challenge.
Okay.
It's I got it from a buddy of mine, and it's do you remember Evangeline when that book came out?
Yep.
The lady that inspired the creation of the character, she signed a lot of books as Evangeline. Now it has that signature with the number thing, and it's got a COA on it too. I'm going to send that to you, and I want to see what you can do with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hey, we'll do our thing, and obviously if we can do it, we're going to do it. If it's if we don't feel comfortable with it, then we don't
reject it.
You said you're the main grader. Are you also the main signature verification?
No.
Okay, so you
no,
gotcha.
No, I've got
You
somebody who
got
does. I have somebody who does that, and we have a really big data AI system.
Gotcha.
That's good.
That he uses too. That constantly updates too.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean,
and nothing passes through either in the grading process or the signature verification process that you guys are not 100% certain on, right? Okay. Yeah. That's perfect.
Right.
All right.
That's why, look, if we have the slightest doubt, we're not gonna.
That's good.
And I've always said, look, don't, if we can't verify it, then there's other companies that might. And we're not saying, hey, you know what? We got this Mark Brooks signature. Just because we didn't pass it doesn't mean Mark Brooks did not sign that book.
Right.
Yeah.
That just means it
I'm
can't
not
be
saying
authenticated.
that he didn't sign it.
Yeah.
We're saying that we're not comfortable
Guaranteeing
guaranteeing that he did.
Right. And that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
That's perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let me interject one other point here. For like a service that you do that I've noticed that no other companies do, graders notes. You actually send back a certificate with what was wrong on that book. And when I first saw that, I didn't even know that. When I first saw that, I was like, holy cow, wow. And then I went to the book and I went, okay, there are my defects that caused that grade. And that left
you have a paper trail
in my mind, right? It left no question in my mind how it got a 9.2 or how it got a 9.4 or whatever it was.
And that is so incredibly frustrating with the other companies and all three of us and Tony, I'm sure you've been through it too, obviously, which is why you created the company that you're in now. You get a 9.6 or a 9.4 back, and there's no reason why it came back that way. Wes and I have gone over books so meticulously that we were confident, we were certain these books were going to come back as 9.8s, and then bam, you get a 9.2. No notes. Why the hell did it get a 9.2? Tell us why. And they can't give us anything. That drives me so bananas.
Yeah. Same here.
We I will say this. We could only get so detailed in the grader's notes, right? I mean, because if we were giving like every single detail and how long and this and that, I mean, turnaround times would be
forever
through the roof. There's only so much time you can put into it. So what I'll do is I won't tell you there were 3 spine ticks at 4 inches and 3 more with 2 inches, and I'll just put, hey, there were spine ticks, front cover, breaking color. I can't get in, there's only so much time to use, but at least we're letting look, this is what we saw.
Right. And no, that's perfect. That's great.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
That's like 100% of the battle when you're getting a book back on
Right.
figuring out what the hell went wrong. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
because
right.
the three of us, we sit around, we look at our books, we grade them, we go over them and say, okay, this looks like a 9.4 to 9.6.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll send it in, and it comes back something else, and we don't know why. You know,
Yeah.
so I appreciate
Yeah,
that
that's-
little certificate in the
really
back,
good.
even if you don't even have to go into that detail. Say you found 3 spine ticks, okay. Well, then me being the responsible comic book guy, I'm going to look and say, oh, yep, I missed
There's
those.
one. There's one. There's one.
There's one. I don't need to see the detail. It was 4 inches from the top or left or whatever.
Hey.
You just have to state what it was, and I'll
That's
find
right.
it myself. You know,
I've always said, you know, at least we're letting you know what we saw. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
not everybody's going to agree on the grade they got.
Yep.
You know, but at least we're letting you know what we saw, and that's why it got the grade it did.
That's the most.
You don't have to
important
agree
thing.
with it, but we're at least we're giving you
your
something.
opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
you
Right.
know?
So when I sent those 2 books in,
Mhm.
I guessed I did a video of what I thought they would come back as, and
Yep.
bada bing, there they came back with the grades I thought. One was a little bit higher, but I mean
Okay.
that's fine. And once the 9.8 came back, I thought it'd be a 9.6, but I usually do a range. I said 9.6, 9.8,
Yeah.
and then the other one was like I said 9.2 to 9.4, and it came back a 9.2, and
Yeah.
that's so hey, for
You
and
know,
I'm not a grader, but I mean I do pretty good job of guessing what these grades should be, and to me you were dead on accurate for me.
well, I appreciate that. You know, I mean, again, it's very simple. You know,
Mhm.
I go by the book. If
Yeah.
that's what the book is giving it with what I found, then that's what you're going to get. And that's why I say to people, you know, I mean, everybody thinks hey, they know what the grade of a book is,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Look, until like I tell everybody, I'm like, go buy this book. You will be shocked
Mhm.
to see what certain
Constitutes a grade.
grades
Yeah.
of books look like.
Mhm.
Okay. And the good thing about this book too is it furnishes pictures.
Oh
There's
yeah, yeah.
pictures
Mhm.
of different books in every grade, so you know you can see. And I'm telling you, you'll notice that there are books, let's say at a 5.0, okay, that you're like, wow, that's a 5.0.
Yeah. It
You
should
know,
not
I mean,
be that
wow,
grade.
this looks really good.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? On those pictures, it'll tell you what the defects were, you know, on the book. I mean, because look, there's some 5.0s that look way, way worse
Yeah.
Yeah.
visually. When you look at it, you're like, how can this be a 5.0 and this be a 5.0? Well, if you read the book, you'll understand
Mhm.
why.
That's very
You
true.
know, a lot of people just look at the optics and say, "Oh, that's got to be a,"
Yeah.
you know.
And
Five or
we've
whatever it is.
all been guilty of that. There's
Yep.
been plenty of times where Wes and I and Sal have looked at books and like, it's got to be this. There's no other way that it can't be this.
Right.
But this brings me into my next question. So
Mhm.
so with everything we've talked about with signature authentication, the grading process, the creation of EGS and all that stuff, I guess the most important question to ask now is what's in the future? What does EGS do now?
Grow.
Yeah, what
Grow.
well, I mean, what things do you
There's a
have?
lot. There's
Yeah.
a lot that is going to be coming on the horizon.
Anything you can give us a hint at?
Well, I will say this.
Okay.
You know, at this point, why, you know, look, we're already making a location
Yeah.
move. Okay.
Mhm.
We're also going to be definitely going out to cons and things to
That
get
was one of
out
my questions. Yeah.
more.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay. You know, we're getting to that point now to where, look, I've got, you know, I'm getting, you know, some capital because look, guys, I started with, all this has been me, my own,
Yeah.
my own
Right.
money from day one. I've never had an investor, never had shareholder. I mean, nothing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this has all been on my dime.
Well, what do
So,
they say? Most businesses that start usually collapse within 5 years. You're on year 6 and you're getting stronger.
and right.
Yep.
And now, I'm starting to be able to see, okay, now I can, get into a better location. Now I can maybe buy some better equipment. Now, okay, we can hit the road and go to this con, this con, this con, and start, getting in front of tens of thousands of people, to where we haven't yet. I mean, this whole time we've never been to
Right.
a major con yet. So, I mean, we have all of these things, to look forward to, as far as just doing the things that these other companies are, well, let's just say mainly CBCS and CGC. These guys are at all of these big shows. They're taking all of these submissions. People are, they're meeting people. They're talking with people. They've got, people are, looking at, books that they have there. I mean, there's just, we haven't had that yet, so I think that's going to be huge. I mean, just to be able to, up our presentation, like when we're at a show, okay, we're going to have now we can have a nice presentation, a nice setup, and, so it's just things like that. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to just being able to start really upping
the ante,
things, because because I tell you what, it started with us getting our own cases. Okay, that was huge. I mean, a lot of money too. So that, I'm not gonna lie, but once we started with our own proprietary cases, I was able to do that. That was step one. So we've kind of been, kind of just staying kind of where we are, because look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm still paying off
Of course.
loans for that. I'm almost done. Okay. So that's why I'm saying, now when this is done, I can see us now taking that money and now
Go to the next
being
level.
able to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I
absolutely.
compared your cases, they're almost exactly the same as CGC or CBCS. I found I could see no difference.
Yeah, I mean, we did our research, man. We put a lot. We put a lot into it. And
so you create these cases yourself on site type situation, correct?
These have gone through, like, you have to get all kinds of drawings, and it's nuts. It's crazy what goes into you would think how easy a plastic case would be. You would not believe what it takes to make these things and to get these things out, and going. But look, it's look, I'm excited. I think, like I said, I'm looking forward to really being able now to start up in the game, and doing the things that now these other companies have been, doing for years and years and years. And like I said, the only exposure we get is through social media and YouTube, man.
Well,
that's
I mean,
you're gonna get some word of mouth from us, so for sure.
People are talking. That's for sure. I mean, the opinions go across the spectrum, but a lot of what I've been hearing has been incredibly positive. And other things that I've been hearing are that people are anxious to see where EGS goes, because, like, as far as I'm concerned, excuse me, as far as I'm concerned, and I think I can speak for the rest of us when I say this, you're number 3 out of 4 right now. And
I would, I don't think so. Like Tim said before, I think people buy PGX cases to crack them and submit them to another company. They don't do that with yours, but they do that with PGX. So that definitely puts you ahead of them for sure. For sure.
Well, hey, I mean, I appreciate that, I mean, PGX is, to me, I mean, if I were, if I hurdle them, look, that company's been around for what, 15, 18 years, I think. So look, I mean, if I'm, like I said, I'm not, I don't get into the whole, oh, I need to be better than, I need to be this, I need to be that.
Well,
it's all, it all encompasses.
You're happy with your slice of the pie.
Each other.
Yeah.
And even though you would love for the pie to get bigger, but you're
Sure.
Well,
sure, but we're not going to change our philosophies and our foundation just to say, oh, we can be this.
Well, I mean, you've got a lot of things going for you right off the bat in the 6 years. I mean, you've got the major customization on the labels, which is something that a lot of people are incredibly excited about. Your standard of grading, going strictly with the Overstreet guide,
and being transparent about that,
and being incredibly transparent about that. That, in my opinion, is the right way to go, right? Because a lot of people trust Overstreet, a lot of people trust their process, and you're following a trusted process, and it's working. Your cases, as Wes said, look gorgeous. And they're awesome to display, and your grading is as accurate as it can be according to the Overstreet comic grading system. I mean, and the grader's notes on everything, and
that's right.
I mean, you're doing exactly what you set out to do, and that is perform exceptional customer service, and I think that you're doing that.
That's a big score. That is a big score right there.
Yeah.
Being
and don't forget, guys, we also have an art label.
They do have an art label.
We have an art label. So if you don't want your book graded and you're just looking to be like, oh, wow, you know what? This is a gorgeous cover. I don't even care what the grade is. I want to hang this up. I want to display this. We have the EGS art label, which is for sketch covers, like a lot of people have these sketch covers.
Yep.
That they don't particularly want them graded. They had, Mark Brooks do a sketch at a convention for them, and now they want to slab it. Well, that's what our art label's for. We could do a label, custom label. You put we slab it, and it just says art in the in the circle. We don't certify anything. We just say, look, if you tell us, hey, Mark Brooks did this sketch, and you want that, that's who you tell us did the sketch, we'll put it on the label. Even if you're lying to us, we'll put it on the label, but in the back of the certificate, it'll say EGS art, no grade, no certification. It's just an art.
Right. No, that's completely fair.
So for all of those who are like, hey, look, I don't want it graded. I just want it slab. We have that too.
That is awesome.
So actually, you can see one.
Yep, I see it.
Supergirl.
I love it.
Right there. That's an art label. That's one of mine. I had a buddy of mine do that.
I'm going to bring you front and center one more time, Tony, so people can get a good look at those cases. Hey, Sal, how's it going? So people can get a good look at those cases and see exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. That's
Yep.
Right
there. The art.
There it is. As you can see, it's got the blue sky label.
Yeah.
The label is like
it
clouds
blends right in with
sky,
that.
like
Blends right in with that.
I mean, so it blends right in with that. There is, says, art on the label. I now have actually a hologram. Get that there on that side. We've kind of done a little bit better on there. So it says EGS art. We now have a
That's
hologram there
great.
that says EGS art. Before it was just EGS art on the actual label, like
And on
just
that,
the other circle. But now we have the hologram
yeah,
that says EGS art on it. So it looks a little bit, looks a little bit better. But I mean, that's perfect for somebody like me, who, hey, I had my buddy, do this for me, and I just want to,
yeah,
display it or
yeah.
protect it, and I don't care what,
They
don't
look
care what
good,
the grade is.
and
So
like we have said before,
yeah,
those cases look really good displayed.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
thank you, Well, a lot of blood,
I
sweat, and
bet.
tears went into them. I
bet.
tell you what, for sure. But
yeah.
thank you, I appreciate that. We're like I said, we're doing the best we can, and
Well,
Keep it up.
hopefully,
gives
we're gonna go as high. We're gonna
Yeah.
go as high as people
well,
take
you're
us.
you're definitely
So
putting the foot in the right direction, because I think that's building a baseline type situation. This is what's working for you, and I think this is an excellent
yeah,
foundation. You could only go up, because this is just there's
yeah,
just no way
Yeah.
anything else could happen. So
And don't discount the
yeah,
small and
yeah.
medium sized cons too, because that's a
absolutely.
lot. That's where your bread and butter
Yes.
is too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, hit
Yep.
those up too.
Exactly. But even those,
But
right?
they ain't cheap,
It's
but they're cheaper than Baltimore, and they're
no,
cheaper than
they're not cheap. You have to, you have, depending on where
a lot
they
of
are,
travel and
you
yeah.
have to pack up,
Yeah.
you have to
Mhm.
drive there, you have the cost of,
Yep.
the table, is it driving distance? Is it flying
Yeah.
distance? I mean, there's a
Good
whole
point.
bunch that a lot of things that go into it, but we're definitely going to be a lot
Awesome.
more active here. This con season
Yeah.
is almost over.
Mhm.
We're getting towards the end, so I'm hoping maybe to get to start. Maybe I'm hoping to maybe get to one or two, but if not, then next year, we're
Well,
definitely going to be
Tony, if
gonna be
you
active
make
for
your
sure.
way up to Tennessee, let Wes and I know. We would be more than happy to hang out with you at your table.
Mhm.
Yep.
And if
Yep.
Sure.
I'm in the DC
Chattanooga, right?
area,
Yeah.
I'm in the
Yeah.
DC area, so we're at Baltimore. In fact,
Okay.
Codex has a table at Baltimore this
Okay.
year. But if you ever at Baltimore,
Okay.
let us know. We'll come over.
That's definitely one that we're looking at.
Right.
It's definitely one we're looking at. We've heard a lot. I mean, I've heard a lot of
Baltimore
good
is an
things about
awesome
that
con. It really
convention.
is. It is all about the books.
So
It is all about the creators.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
there's not a lot of
Yep.
hoopla outside of that.
Yep.
And it's
Yep. Well, we have to just kind of sit down and map out what we want to
absolutely.
accomplish for
Absolutely.
next year. Where we have
Mhm.
to just sit down and just go over the numbers, go over the distances, go
all the
over
logistics.
budget, and just say, okay, this is our
Mhm.
game plan for this year.
Yep.
But it's exciting that we're
Yeah,
getting
Yeah,
to it.
absolutely.
So,
Very much. Very much.
you know,
All right, guys. Unless you guys have any other questions for him, I think we can go ahead and wrap up this show.
I'm good, Tony. You
Good.
answered every
All right.
question I
Yeah.
had with
And
honesty, and and it was great.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
that's why we're here, man. We're here to be that, that beacon of saying, hey, look, this is making money isn't making money. Yes, is it important? Sure, everybody needs to make money, but it's just the way that you do it.
Absolutely.
There's different ways to do it, and we feel like our way is head and shoulders above
Yep.
everybody else's.
Very good.
Stop
There
it,
you
Tim.
go.
Stop.
Any
All right.
excuse to show the hair.
Stop it.
I got
Of
more than
course.
all three of you combined. So
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
true.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Codex Station, Codex Slab Show. I am your host, Sal the Slab Guy. Down below is Tim the Terrible. Next to him, right over there, I keep doing the camera wrong, is Wes Rumblegum. And of course, a big thank you to Tony Trombetta for coming out onto our show. President of EGS. We are so appreciative. Thank you so much for coming on. Yes, Tim, I was about to ask you, throw up the information there one more time.
you
Find
got
them
it.
online. And let's hit the socials there.
Yeah,
So
ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Right there, find EGS on the web, egscomicsgrading.com
right.
for all your grading needs, and they are on all the major socials. Right there's their Instagram, Facebook, and X, otherwise
X.
known as Twitter.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can communicate with Tony and the rest of his team right there on all the socials as
Yes.
well.
And we answer our phone.
Hey,
and
there you
return
go.
calls.
Wow. What?
What do you know?
That's
So you can contact
wow.
us that
That's
way
like
too.
shocking that you answer
Oh my
the phone.
God.
No way.
Well, let's not forget before we get out of here, Sal, let everybody know where we can be found. We got something, we want to give it to people. What would
It's all the socials, and we want to give them to you. You can find us on any social media. Just type in at the Codex Station. Boom. They'll find us right there. Give us a like. Give us a follow. Give us a subscribe. You can do all those things. And if you want to jump over to the web, you can always find us on thecodexstation.com.
We should let Wes talk about how much he knows about the website.
Yeah, Wes, go
I
ahead.
actually had no idea we had one. What are you talking about? But yeah, come on to our website and meet the team. Buy some merch if you want to. If you want to wear some cool stuff and have some cool stickers.
Yeah.
And also and see what's coming up with the Codex.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. And so much more. Thank you, Wes, for that. Appreciate that.
I love putting Wes on the spot.
It's so much fun to see him panic.
What? No. Oh, okay. All right.
All right, folks. Take care, and we'll see you next time. And hey, don't forget, have a 9.8 day.